Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing good. Now today I'm joined by the African Gooner to chat a bit about Arsenal to preview the game against Southampton at the weekend, which will be a very exciting one. But thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing? How's your day going?
Hey, so doing really well. Thanks for having me. It's a privilege to be on here. Seen some really great guests, and you're doing a great job with your channel. So always happy to come on and meet other fellow Gooners that share similar passion for Arsenal. Day's been going good. It's Friday, so that means one day closer to Arsenal playing, and looking forward to that tomorrow.
Yeah, it's always nice. It's the weekend and Arsenal are going to play. And yeah, I'm just really happy to chat with you today about Arsenal. And I just can't wait to look forward to this game. And it's really strange for me because when I'm thinking about this game, I can't help but feel like we're going to be playing against Ramsdale. Like it's
Yeah.
it's going to be like really strange because I think we all know now, Arteta's made the right decision. I think how he went about it could have been better, but we know now Raya has had an incredible start to the season. But for you, like, how do you feel about playing against Ramsdale? Because for me,
Yeah.
like, I want us to win, but I just don't want us to like score tons of goals against him.
Oh, no, no. Look, I mean, I don't frankly care about how many goals we score. I
Yeah.
want us to win. I personally think it's going to be a 3-0 or 4 maybe. Just to touch on my feelings on Ramsdale, I think a lot of Arsenal fans are very harsh on Ramsdale, saying like, oh, like he was always a relegation goalkeeper. Like I have a strong affinity to Ramsdale. Like growing up as an Arsenal fan, I haven't seen the best of goalkeepers. Fabianski, Almunia. Chesney was okay, smoked in the bathroom, got caught. You know what I mean? We haven't had the best
Mm.
of goalkeepers growing up since Lehman. So Ramsdale was one of the first goalkeepers that I really resonated with, and he was one of the main characters in this new Arsenal team. And the passion that he showed for the badge, and some of the saves that he made, he was a big step up. And I wouldn't disrespect him in any manner
Mm.
because I appreciate, coming from where we
Yeah.
were and him taking us to that next level. And then obviously now the evolution to Raya. I have a lot of feelings for Ramsdale, and I feel like a lot of Arsenal fans disregard him, like we're kind of seeing now with Ben White because Timber and Calafiori playing so well. Similar to, for me, in terms of Ben White, like super appreciative of him. I think people just kind of like our fans are very fickle.
Yeah.
It's funny, but yeah, in terms of Ramsdale, I think yeah. Look, he's a good goalkeeper. He makes obviously some silly mistakes and he loses concentration quite easily. But totally respect him, and he's always a gooner to me. So,
Yeah.
um, as long as we get the 3 points, that's all that matters. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want us to score a lot of goals because I want us to start building up our goal difference, especially considering how last season it was only a 1 point gap between us and Man City. Like goal difference, we need to be thinking about goal difference from now. So that's really important to me in games like this against Southampton when we're playing at home. We got to take full advantage and kind of like put them to the sword. I want us to go really strong in the first half, kill the game off 2-0, and then kind of just see how many goals we can get in the second half.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting game, and I'm like you. I think we could probably win this, 2 or 3 nil. I think, like you said, I think at this point, I'm just happy to get a win, and yeah, a win would be absolutely amazing. A clean sheet too would be really good. But as it's been at the Emirates, do you think Ramsdale get a good reception? I mean, I
Absolutely.
don't, I don't really know at the moment what his sort of relationships like with Arteta. I mean, Ramsdale's left now, and that was obviously the right thing to do. But how do you sort of see the reception from the Arsenal fans at the game?
No, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind and no question that he's going to
Mm.
get a really good reception. He's been a great servant to the club, as I said. Like, there's nothing really bad we can say about him. Like, yeah, okay, Raya's better, but again, let's remember the age difference. Like, Ramsdale could be one day as good as David Raya at that age. We don't know that. Again, one of the top goalkeepers, great servant to the club, great professional. Like, there really is no reason for him not to get a good reception. So
Yeah.
I'm expecting him to be welcomed back, with great applause.
Yeah, definitely, and big up Phil as well. Good to see you in the chat. A comfortable for another blooming interval. I hate the international
Yeah,
breaks. It's not my favourite time. It's a bit boring, really.
same here. Considering that I don't have really any international affinity, I usually support international teams that have Arsenal players.
Yeah,
That's
I
pretty much
love that.
how it works. So, yeah, no, always quite boring. Not the same as the Premier League.
Yeah, it's definitely not sort of, the same feeling when you're watching your club play. But like you said, I always like to keep an eye out on the Arsenal players that do well. I mean, obviously, I'm an England fan, but it's always nice to see the other
Yeah,
players do well. But I wanted to touch on the game at the weekend. I mean, it should really, if we're looking at it, be a comfortable win. I know Southampton haven't won a game yet, but maybe as well, Ramsdale might want to prove a point, or he'll want to have a good game against us. But
absolutely.
how do you feel about the game at the weekend?
To be fair, Soph, I think if we create enough chances, it shouldn't matter how many saves and how good Ramsdale plays. I mean, we saw that against Leicester. Their keeper was on fire. Like, I think it was
Yeah, honestly, yeah,
13 saves. That's like the most saves in like 7 years, right? And we still found a way to get through. And I think that's one of the biggest differences between this Arsenal team now and what it was maybe 2, even 3 years ago. Even when we were doing better, is that like instead of getting a draw, we're actually pulling out the 3 points and pulling out the win in the dying moments of the game. So for me, frankly, I think yeah, it's going to be way too tough. If we're on our game, we're just going to be able to uh,
yeah,
easily just cut through at some point, right? And I think once like one goal goes in, like the floodgates open, floodgates are going to open, and then the game is going to be more open. They're going to have to come out and try
yeah,
to score to either get a point, and when they do, then hopefully we'll go on to score a couple of goals. I mean, I don't know if you want to touch on individual players, but I
mm,
mean, right now our front three is looking really good. I kind of, my feelings on Gabriel Jesus is that he's now a backup striker, and that is what it is. He's better than Reece Nelson, better than Nketiah. So like as a backup striker, I'm not too unhappy. Kai Havertz, oh my god, like oh my god, honestly, I still don't think he's like the clinical striker that I want. One
yeah,
on one, like I still think he makes sometimes bad decision making, or he's just not that guy. He's not like a Haaland or a Ronaldo, like a Ibra, like any clinical finisher that you can think of, like a Harry Kane. But what he's contributing to the team is just phenomenal, way better than what I expected, and especially in the last, I would say, 4 to 5 months, like outstanding. Like the amount of times that he's winning the ball when we're
mm,
going long, like holding off defenders when he looks skinny, like he doesn't look that strong. Saka also looks skinny, but we know Saka's strong. I didn't realize that Havertz was actually that strong, and he's
yeah,
really proven it. So, I've been one of those Arsenal fans that I thought over the summer we should have gotten a striker or another
yeah, me too.
winger because I didn't think Kai was that guy. But like, I'm really eating my words right now, and like
Mm,
I can see why we didn't go and get a striker. That doesn't mean that we still don't need one. But for the time being, like we can't say I can't say anything. We as Arsenal fans can't say anything. He's scoring, he's assisting, he's doing his job. Like he's a mainstay in this team. There's no way he gets displaced whatsoever. I don't like seeing him in midfield. I
mm,
like seeing him as a striker, but then again, Trossard has also been on fire. So to be honest, I'd go with the same team that we
yeah.
were with at Leicester.
Yeah, because I was going to ask about that because I know at the moment I don't really think there's any updates about Ben White. I mean, I I don't know. I think Tomiyasu might be still out, but I think we've got the luxury right now to have the options. I mean, California and Timber, they've both been absolutely incredible to watch. I mean, the midfield, would you sort of play Partey and Rice, and do you think Sterling should come in, or do you think you like him off the bench a bit more?
So that is a great question. Honestly, tough. Because my answer before last game would have said, "Look, if Marino's fit, let's start Mikel Marino." But Partey had a really good game against PSG. That's probably one of the best games
Yeah,
I've seen him have in like over a year, maybe. And Mikel Arteta obviously came out recently saying that this is the best, that he's seen Thomas Partey in terms of physical like form and fitness. So he's looking strong. I still think sometimes, you know what I mean? Like it's tough because it was just one game. It's not like he's been doing it every single game. And obviously, Marino being like a new signing, and I think the intention was like, obviously, we signed him to start. I kind of want to see him start. I don't think I saw him
yeah,
enough at PSG. Like he didn't get on the ball enough for me to really make like an assessment yet. But one thing I noticed that he's really tall. Like he's really tall. So like obviously like scoring from corners and set pieces, which are pretty much penalties for us at this point.
yeah,
Yeah, I look, I would probably start with Partey,
yeah.
and keep it the same Partey, Declan Rice, and then bring on Marino maybe in the 60th minute of the second half, depending on the situation of the game. But I think even
Yeah,
if we were losing, I'd probably still bring him on. If we were tied, I'd still bring him on.
Yeah, because I think with Marino, I don't think we've seen like enough of him to play him just yet. Like for
Yeah.
full to start him, I think you need to see more minutes from him. But he's definitely going to be a good player. And a good question from Phil: when is Sterling going to play 90 minutes? I mean, it's interesting really because Saka for me will always start on the right. Like he'll
Oh yeah, yeah,
unless
without.
he's injured or he's whatever,
No,
he'll
even if
always
he's injured, Martinez
he'll
still
still
doesn't
play.
rest him. He still plays him. Yeah, we've seen that.
Yeah, it's
So,
mad. Yeah, I mean Martinelli for me. I feel like he's gradually getting better, growing in confidence. There has been a lot of chances in the PSG game where he could have at least scored
yeah,
one, but I think for me, like I think you'd start him in this game. I think Arteta's going to do that, and I think it'd be maybe a good game to for him to maybe take some of his chances. Like I'm not saying it's going to be easy; it'll be a tough game,
yeah.
but we should be winning this game really comfortably by at least a few goals. But it'd be interesting to see, who does start. Sterling, I mean, do you think because like Sterling wouldn't have come here to just sit on the bench, but
Yeah.
I think he's come here to sort of help us win things. But do you think he might be a bit frustrated that he's not started in many games yet?
So a couple of points because we've talked about a lot of things. The first point is on the Mikel Merino one. I've heard that he's been asked to be a bit less like aggressive in his tackles in
Mm,
training because that's how good he's been in training. He's been giving it his all, so he's been really showing himself, and he's really eager to make that first team. So that's just a little bit of juicy news for you and everyone watching. So that's great to hear. In terms of Martinelli, look, Martinelli is one of my favorite players, and I've always been that guy who since 3-4 years ago, even when Aubameyang was here and playing on the left wing, I would say, hey, why isn't Martinelli starting? Because Aubameyang obviously should have started over Lacazette as in the central role.
mm,
So I've always been one of Martinelli's biggest fans. I do think that he needs to improve on some of his decision making, and he's been through a rough patch, and a lot of people have turned on him, and I've always said, hey guys, like, come on, let's remember our roots. Let's remember, like, he's still young. He just came back from an injury. And he's gonna get back into form. I do agree with you, Soph. I think
yeah.
his left foot, like I don't understand, like I can't make excuses for it anymore because he should be practicing this in training, and it's been like a couple of years now. You know what I mean? It's not like a new thing, but his
Mm,
left foot, like the crossing on his left foot or the decision making, like when Saka has the ball, you know that he's gonna cut in on his left. He's going for the shot. Martinelli doesn't do that enough for me. I don't know if it's that like lost confidence that he, you know what
yeah.
I mean? I think he's one of the best finishers at the club. Him and Trossard are up there for me as the best finishers, like one on one. That they are the killers for me. So I think Martinelli still has some improvement, but I think he starts for me, frankly. In terms of
Yeah.
Sterling, like, look, we bought him as a backup winger for rotation. I would have liked to have seen him get more minutes. League Cup, FA Cup, Champions League, probably like if we need to score a goal, like in the last 70, 70, 80th minute, that's probably when Arteta would bring him on. And I think in the Premier League, kind of same situation. I don't think Sterling is going to get as many minutes as people are expecting. Look,
Yeah.
we're not paying him that much. Chelsea's paying around 80% of his wages. We're paying around
Mm,
30K, hence the number 30 for his kit. So we're not paying that much to really have him. I think it's just an option. I do want to see more of him. I think the first game when he came on against Spurs, he tried too much. He was trying too much. Like it was his first game. He was trying to dribble too much. He was trying to make something happen. It was just forcing it. And I agree with you. I don't think we've seen
mm,
enough. Like Marino, like I can't
yeah.
really make an assessment yet. Obviously, goal, assist, but like that was League Cup. Like I need to see more from him. I don't see him starting. Trossard is ahead of him. Martinelli is ahead of him. Saka's ahead of him. So when does he start? Probably League Cup, FA Cup, or
Yeah.
when we need a goal late in the game, we need to bring on an attacking threat. He's going to be the guy that we look to. Otherwise, yeah, honestly,
Mm.
I don't think he's going to start as many games as people think.
Yeah, I mean, I know I think obviously I said the Bolton game's different to a Premier League game, but I know that was a great game for Sterling, and I think at the moment, when he comes on, he doesn't really come on for too much time. But I kind of think with him, like when we need him, the second half of the season or whenever we need him, hopefully he can, step up, score us goals, or help us in some way in creating those chances when we might need him. Because I'm like you, like this summer, like I feel like we need a striker, and we
Yeah,
have one, but obviously we have him, and I think we need that difference maker. But I think if we're able to just get by the season or up until January with what we have now, I just think and as Martinelli, if other players are able to contribute and score goals, that will help, and hopefully Martinelli, his confidence keeps growing as the games go on. But I wanted to actually ask you a bit about the youth players because I know we've seen Ranieri and Skelly. And do
Yeah.
you think this game would be a good chance? Maybe not them starting. I mean, and even Ranieri's obviously like he stepped up in that Leicester game. Like he came on, and you could really see that he wanted to win us the game. And but do you think it'd be too soon to maybe start some of these players, or do you think they're better as a substitute coming on?
Yeah, my personal opinion is that they should have already started, especially
Mm,
when let's touch on him first.
yeah.
Considering that Odegaard was out, I had expected that he probably would have gotten more minutes than he has now. Arteta's a stubborn man, and it's very clear that he's not going to start the youngsters. Like, look, we like the main attacking player is out in midfield, and we still don't play him in the League Cup. Like, so look, frankly, I think Nwaneri is going to have a breakout season this year. I think he is going to get minutes, but still not enough minutes, right?
Mm,
I think same thing with Lewis Skelly. Like, unfortunately, it's way too many uh, defenders, left backs, right
yeah.
back. I mean, we have way too many. I mean, Tierney's still going to come back, and does Tierney start in front of Lewis Skelly? I think so. I mean, I would love to. I don't know. It's a tough one. Like, I have love for Tierney, so I would want to see him play. So it's a really tough question. I think both of them are obviously training with the first team. They're getting exposure. They're traveling with the squad. Like, this is all part of like the experience and building
Yeah.
character and building this chemistry. I think League Cup and FA Cup again is probably where they get most of their
Yeah.
minutes. I think Premier League, Ethan Nwaneri maybe gets minutes when we were like 3-0 up, 4-0 up, and there's 20 minutes left. The game is over. Like, yeah, sure. Go get minutes, see what you can do, like get a better taste of what Premier League football is like. But yeah, other than that, again, I think that's as far as really it will get. Like, you can tell. For me personally, it's very telling. Like, I had the same feeling with Smith Rowe. I could tell early on that Arteta didn't rate him because he was available, he was fit, and
Yeah.
Arteta decided not to play him. Like hardly ever. So I already knew that was going to happen, and I feel like it's kind of like similar situation here where it's like he's not ready to start them yet. So yeah, he would have already done it, and because he hasn't, I'm like, yeah, no, he's not. He doesn't feel like he's ready to make that move.
Yeah, I think as well, like with Smith Rowe, like you said, I remember like a few seasons back, the experienced players weren't really doing it for us, and then Smith Rowe came on and he
Yeah,
changed everything. And it felt to me like it took Arteta a bit longer than it should have to bring in Smith Rowe. Like Smith Rowe for me could have
yeah,
come in a bit sooner, and it's a bit like this in a way.
yeah,
I mean, I think Ranieri is probably ready to start personally because I think with that Leicester game, you could really see that he was ready and he was giving it everything to win us that game.
yeah.
And yeah, I think he's ready. I mean, Lewis Skelly, I hope to see more of him, but I definitely think Ethan's ready. But like you said, we've got cup games coming up, and I think that's a great opportunity for them to obviously showcase what they can do. But I definitely want to see um them be part of this. I got a question from Phil. I believe the Shen has really been taken out of the Champions League with the huge league thing, and it's like it always is. It doesn't start until the knockout stage. Currently, a EuroLeague through the back door. Do you agree? What's your thoughts on that?
Honestly, someone spoke to me about this recently a few days ago. I have no opinion. I don't know. Like, it
Yeah,
feels like the Super League kind of thing idea that was proposed in a way, but just with more teams, more games, more money for TV rights. Like,
yeah,
uh, I don't think it's like we haven't like gone deep enough. I think we need to experience the whole season, like the whole competition,
yeah,
to really be able to like make an assessment to say is this better, is this not? Like, it's human nature to not want to change things, and like especially like when you have something going for so long. So the traditional one is obviously what we're used to. I like that we're playing more teams, and like there
yeah,
isn't like home and an away, so it's kind of like you can like, I guess, tackle a player like in a certain situation and know like you're never going to probably see that player again for the rest of the season, or like there's just different nuances to it. But yeah, no real opinion. I think it's still too early.
yeah. Yeah, I think we're just gonna see how it goes really. Maybe so too. I think it's a farce. I mean, do you know what, it's really weird the Champions League, like I'm enjoying it, but I just think about the end of the season how much I'd want us to win the league. But I think with the Champions League, I think we've just got to go as far as we can, and I hope this season we can really win the league. So let's just hope that happens. But yeah, a good point there from Phil.
Yeah. Someone in the comments saying Martinelli is wasteful, and although that's true, like if you look at some of the stats, like Martinelli scored like I think 30 Premier League goals, and he's still so young. So
Yeah,
although yes, sometimes wasteful, let's remember like where he started and like him being one of
yeah,
the biggest goal scorers in his team, along Aubameyang when we had no one. Um,
exactly. Yeah,
so like you see, we were quick to forget. Like I don't disagree. He can be wasteful, especially recently. He's shooting it a lot straight at the keeper. Like the instinctiveness, it's not there. It's not there as much as it used to be. I don't want to say it's not there anymore because obviously it's
mm,
still there. But again, I think that comes with confidence and like if he scores in a couple of games, I think he starts taking on more shots and like as someone that plays the game as well as a striker as a winger, like like a
yeah,
big thing is like flow, and once you start scoring and like it becomes more instinctive, like it comes back to you, right? Like it never goes away. It just you need to get into that flow, and hopefully that starts building up. I mean, a goal and assist, and yeah, maybe hopefully tomorrow another goal, and we'll see where that takes us from.
yeah. I think people are being. I think at the moment, like. I think people shouldn't give up on Martinelli yet because, like you said, those times where we struggled, he really helped us. And I just feel like, at the moment he's doing good. He seems like he has more confidence. And I think, like we said, tomorrow, I think it's tomorrow we play, is it, or Sunday?
No,
But
it's
what if,
tomorrow.
yeah,
It's
it's a
tomorrow.
good, that game will be really good for him to start in. And hopefully, if he gets a goal, that'll be really good for his
I also
confidence.
want to add one point, if you don't mind. I
Of
think
course.
I think when the team is so good the way it is, and like every player is performing so well, when one player is performing at average level because everyone else is playing so above
Yeah.
average, like it sticks out a bit more, and then everyone targets that player. It kind of was like Zinchenko, Partey, like we know
Yeah.
what the culprits are, and it feels like Martinelli's that guy right now where everyone defense clean, goalkeeper amazing, like midfield great. Saka is Saka, Kai Havertz is doing his job.
Yeah.
So then everyone's looking at Martinelli and saying, "Hey, man, like you got to pick up
Yeah.
your game. Like you're pulling us down." And I think he's suffering from that, like from the fans perspective. I recently moved to Toronto in Canada, and I'm going to some Arsenal bars, and sometimes when I hear like people talk about players and people talk about Martinelli,
Mm.
especially like when he misses a chance or he makes a bad pass or he makes a bad decision, like the way people jump on it, it's
Yeah.
insane. It's insane. It's really interesting. And again, like I'm biased, obviously, like him being one of my favorite players and me always continuously supporting him. Look, I do call out when he makes bad decisions. As I said, like he
Yeah.
needs to improve on his left foot. He's making bad decisions sometimes, etc. But like, yeah, like some people are, I think, going over the top, and like we're being a bit spoiled, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I think, like you said, I think everyone around him is just, performing even better. I mean, like, we've got a lot of consistent players in our team, and I think when you're at that level, you've
Yeah.
sort of got to be good as them or, at that level. So it's not like he's been doing bad. It's just that he's not probably at the level as our other players. But I think throughout the season, the season's really started, we've had about a few games. So I think when you're like halfway there, you could probably really say what you think. But I think it's so tough really to make that judgment. But like we said, I think it'd be really good if Martinelli, it could work out the season because, he did so much for us when we were going through those tough times. And yeah, so many fans love him. It's just, we just want him to do well. And yeah,
One more point. Our left hand side has always been super weak, and we've always attacked from our right side with Saka and Ben White. Now with Marino and Calafiori or Timber, either or whoever it is, we still haven't seen what that looks like. So let's give an opportunity and let's wait and see
mm,
what that does. We're already seeing Martinelli playing Calafiori. That relationship is building, and it's looking really good. So hey, I'm just saying Martinelli might
yeah.
surprise some people, and when he does, don't come back running.
Yeah, I know the haters are gonna hate it, but I think if you have genuine criticism about Martinelli, I don't think that's a problem.
No,
But
of
I
course,
think,
it's fair, and that's on any
yeah,
player, right? Of course, any
you've got
player.
to just. I think you've got to support them, but at the same time, it's fine to criticize them because you're watching
Yeah,
to.
but people saying to sell Martinelli because not good enough, and like
I
that's just
don't really
that's
agree
too
with
much
that
to
right.
me.
Yeah, I don't agree with that right now. Like I just think people are easy to kind of jump on that bandwagon and get on his back when it's near the end of the season. If he's still not doing great,
Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
you can have those conversations. But I think right now it's a bit too early for me and a lot of
Agree.
people. But yeah, I think at the end of the season you can probably assess how they've done. And we spoke about Partey before, and I wanted just to speak about him because Arteta's obviously spoken about how good he's been coming back this summer. And I think for me, like you said before, like this season I feel like it's been a bit inconsistent. Like that game against PSG, you said, honestly, that was probably one of his best performances in an Arsenal shirt. And
Yeah,
I think if we saw more of that, I think he will definitely have a good season. But obviously, we don't really know about his future if he's going to sign new deals. I know Arteta is interested on what from what I've seen online. But
yeah,
do you think this could be his best season in an Arsenal shirt? Because his injury record
yeah.
isn't good. Like it's not
And
great.
it's funny, so because he was never injured before he came to
Yeah,
us, and then all of a sudden, just injury after injury after injury, kind of like Tomiyasu. But we knew Tomiyasu was injury prone before he came. So, in terms of Thomas Partey, it's a difficult one. Look, he recently got over the summer. I mean, I'm sure you've seen my Twitter. I'm like literally just always on the next Arsenal news update, and I think it was around June or July during the summer. Partey got engaged and he has a new kid. So he obviously is settled in London. He probably doesn't want to
yeah,
move, right? So I think the only one. I mean, we're seeing rumors with Barcelona, I think, and maybe I think there was a team in Spain and obviously Saudi Arabia. I don't like the rumors were that
yeah,
we were gonna give him a 2-year contract right now. That's what we're seeing, and then some other rumors saying, hey, he's gonna run out his contract probably, and then take it from there. I think Partey is a bit slower than he used to be. I think against
yeah,
PSG, I saw him tackle and pull moves that I haven't seen him do in a long time. So I don't know if it's because he needs that consistent game time. Like he's now like not you know what I mean. Like
yeah,
he's not getting a recurring injury, so he's able to kind of just develop and progress and start like being more confident to do certain movements that he wasn't able to do before. But I think again with like Marino and with like the evolution of this team, I probably think this is probably his last hurrah. I want him to
yeah,
have the best season that he can for us, whether that's starting or coming off on the bench or playing or rotating, whatever, playing FA Cup, playing Champions League, or playing Premier League. I don't know how Arteta's going to split it between him and Marino because we know Declan Rice isn't getting out
yeah,
of the team. So whatever way Arteta decides, I just hope that he does the best that he can and he doesn't get injured. And then I think again, like you said, like reassess at the end of the season, near
yeah,
the end of the season, and say, hey, kind of like a Jorginho thing, saying, hey, one more year, we'll give you a 1-year extension, and that's it. Or you know what, we have money because we didn't spend that much like this summer, so we have a lot of money, and we're gonna go and like spend it on someone that we think is gonna be the mainstay in our midfield with Declan Rice for the next 5 years. Whether that's Zubamendi, whether that's whoever, like it's way too early and it's so irrelevant to be talking about right now.
yeah,
But I still think we need another 2 midfielders, right? I think we need another attacking midfielder. As much as obviously I love Nwaneri and stuff, I still think we need, if we get rid of Vieira, we still need someone as a
yeah,
backup for Odegaard. And I think obviously we need a backup for Rice and for Marino. So yeah, I think that's my feelings on Partey. Look, it just didn't work out. I was really excited. I mean, obviously, Charles Watts announcing that
yeah,
that we were gonna pay the release clause. That was one of the first time that was the first time I've ever experienced us paying a release clause in my life. So that was very exciting, and I had a lot of hopes for him. Great player, just hasn't worked out, and sometimes that happens, right? We take risks. It
yeah,
wasn't a bad risk. I think it's tough argument to say did we get our value out of the money that we spent for him. I would say maybe not, but he hasn't been a
yeah.
player for us.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because like I remember when we signed him, like I was so excited, and he has been good. I think the problem with him is his injuries. He's not been able to be consistent enough because of that. Like he's had some incredible games, and I just think if this is going to be his last season, then I think yeah, like, I hope he just has a good season. Where if he does get an injury, it's not like a long one where he's out
Yeah.
for like like if it's one where it's like a couple of weeks, you could probably manage. But I think injuries do happen. But like you said, it's weird because since he's come to the Premier League, he's had so many injuries, and it's been hard to because you can't really rely on him, and you sort of
So
want to sometimes.
actually, I just remembered. against Leicester, I was really frustrated with him, like really frustrated. He
Mm.
was holding onto the ball way too long. It's like, and I was just like, pass, pass, get rid of it, get rid of it. Like you're slowing us down. Like we were trying to score a goal, and we were giving them too much time to like get back
Yeah.
into shape, and then having to break them down. I just felt like he was too slow. And then against PSG, I was just like, what? This is the party that we signed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a tough one. I totally agree with you. I think, look, if he gets another injury,
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much that's it. But if he has a good season where he stays injury free, there might be a case to say, hey, 1 year extension. You know what I mean? Like, look, if
Yeah.
Barcelona if Barcelona want him, we shouldn't really stick our noses up and say like he isn't a good enough player. Like, obviously, big teams still want him. So it's just about how long that is. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think more than a 1 year extension if we were to.
Yeah, I do agree. I think like if he had a great season and we were sort of like wowed by him, I think that would be a good thing to do. Like you said, he seems quite settled in London. But I want to read this out because it's
Oh
a good
man,
question.
this is a dangerous topic. So if I don't think you're gonna like me after I give my
Oh,
opinion on
do
this
you know what
one.
is weird, right? Do you know what's it's interesting, like, because when Xhaka has been at Arsenal, like it was so 50-50, like people would either love him or hate him. I was always in the middle, to be honest with you. Like, I think because of what I feel like you're gonna say you hate him. I want to know your opinion.
Oh man. I moved more towards the middle near the end. I would say the last 2 years because he started playing well, obviously. So like, look, I'm
Yeah,
very fair. Like, I'm not gonna hate on a guy who was playing well for my team. I want every player to do really really well. I think people just
yeah,
are forgetful that this guy caused me a lot of pain. When a specific player causes you a lot of pain and does the same mistake so many times, like repeatedly, and doesn't learn, and that person is like forced. You know what I mean? Because we didn't have other midfielders, we didn't have other choices, so he's like forced in my face all the time, and I didn't like him. It's nothing to do with what he did with cupping the ears and like all of that stuff. Like, yeah, that stuff was important, but for me, it was more about what he was doing on the pitch, committing fouls, giving away penalties, like being reckless. Like, he was
mm,
not a great player for us, in my opinion. Like, people think that he's some Arsenal legend and stuff. He's not even like in the top 10 or top 15 midfielders that our club has ever had. So I think he's overhyped. I don't get me
yeah,
wrong. The last 2 years, he was great, but out of 7 years, he was average for us. Average, like a few long range screamers in the beginning of his season. And don't forget, we signed him
yeah,
over in N'Golo Kante. We could have had Kante at Arsenal. So look, I try to be really, really fair. Like, I hated him
yeah,
a lot. But the last 2 years, I just became neutral. Especially, look, when a lot of other Arsenal fans are like really love him, and then you're an Arsenal fan, and you have an online account where you post about Arsenal and Arsenal players. And if I was ever negative about him, I would get a lot of schlep. So I would try to not talk about him, and I felt like the best way and not to waste my energy was just to be neutral. Obviously, to
yeah,
wish the best for him, and I wanted him to do well. And when he did, I gave him credit. But I didn't cry when he left. Actually, my first Arsenal game was Xhaka's last game. I went to the Emirates. I thought we were going to win the league, so I wanted my first game to be us lifting the trophy, and I bought the ticket 3 months in advance, and I got to see Xhaka score 2 goals, and I clapped him, right, even though he wasn't one of my favorite players. It's just the way it is.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's always been a divisive topic, but I also think people don't like remember the whole journey, like the red cards, the penalties, like
yeah. So
oh,
much went on really
so
before
much.
the last season. Yeah. People don't like. Do you know what it is? Like, I would say his last two seasons at Arsenal were good. Like
Very good.
the
Yeah,
last one was probably his best. But
absolutely.
like you said, like I think of like so many times. I'm not really putting this on him, but like things like Europa League final. I mean, all of that to when Arteta's came in, like just under Emery, like we all went through like the red cards. I remember at one point, like not just Shaka, but as a team, like we'd
Yeah,
have like we would have a red card per
every game.
game.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that. That was like 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah,
So like
it was three
we were
years ago.
like, yeah, that's mad. And it's weird like now when we get a red card, like a one off or every so often.
Yeah.
We used to have them like all the time and
Oh,
now we
all the
just
time, and even like
yeah.
second yellows, and like he built a reputation for just being that guy. So even if it wasn't a red card, he would get it, and I didn't care whether or not it was or not. Like, I didn't ask him to build that reputation. Like, you're still costing me,
Yeah.
the fan that loves Arsenal and wants my team to win. Like, I don't know. I've calmed down a lot on that situation, obviously, because of the detachment
Yeah.
that no longer a player is like our player and stuff. But I agree. Like, last 2 seasons, really really good. I think overall as an Arsenal player, probably a 6 out of 10. right?
Yeah,
6.5 out of 10, but 6 out of 10 player for me in his time at Arsenal. And obviously, I wish him the best. He had a great season. He became an invincible with
yeah,
Leverkusen. Great, good for him. Great for him. If only he could have been as good as he was in the last season, every single
yeah,
season for us, it would be a completely different story. I think
yeah.
his engine absolutely incredible. Like he runs like okay, Odegaard runs probably more, but Xhaka also up there with like one of the best like long distance runners in our team. With maybe even Aaron Ramsey was one of those players. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't want to see him go to ground. Like I would be pulling my hair out. Like I'll be screaming at the TV saying like, dude, like, and I just knew it was coming. Like I already knew all the things that he would do, and then he would do it, and then I would lose my stuff. And at that time, like we
Mm.
weren't as good as we are now. So like it was a big, big difference.
It's like crazy to think as well, like, midfield now, like compared to like I mean to be honest, El Neni, I think, as a person, he had a
Great,
lot of
yeah,
respect.
great.
But like there was times when we used to watch them play together, like back and
No,
forwards, like like you look at it now and how Declan Rice and Partey are, it's just amazing. But if
I
we are
wouldn't put
being honest,
Partey in that
yeah,
category, to be honest, Soph. I think Declan Rice is like stands way above all
yeah,
players, like all of them. Like the way he drives with the ball, even when you see him like on the corner, like right on the edge where the ball's gonna go out, he manages to keep it in and he
yeah.
drives the ball and he gets potentially the corner at the end of it. Most of our midfielders beforehand would either run the ball out of play, or if it was Xhaka, he would have dropped to the floor, try to get a foul when it's clearly not a foul, and then like they would counterattack and score, and we'd be like,
And wasting time. I think it's so weird with Partey, like we're having this discussion and I think his biggest problem, like he's very inconsistent. Like you said, there's been quite a few games this season where he's looked quite average and we know what he can do,
yeah.
but like PSG is a good example. That game, like I said, one of his best. So if we're seeing that type of level, like we said, I think it would be good for him to, maybe stay or maybe we should move on. It's an interesting subject, but regards
Different
and yeah,
qualities, different
yeah,
ages, different like periods of their career. Like Partey is never going to be that guy who's going to just take the ball, dribble like the whole midfield, carry the ball all the way to the end, and then just make that final pass to just lay it in the net for Trossard, Martinelli, Saka, whoever. Like, and then also Partey is not going to give you as many goals as Declan Rice can.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, Partey does score a banger every so often, but he's
every
not
so
gonna.
often, like one a year, one every
Yeah,
2 years or one every year. But when he scores them, it's like Xhaka, like
yeah,
screamers.
he never
El Neni as
disappoints.
well, screamers. That's why they all in the same category for me, to be honest. I
Yeah,
would say same thing. Like, look, El Neni, great, great person, but like sideways football, he was never that guy. It's a big privilege for him to have
mm,
played for Arsenal Football Club straight
yeah,
up, and I think he knows that as well.
yeah,
And I would say he's a 5 out of 10 player, and I would say Partey as well. We would say 6.5.
yeah.
Because of injuries. Declan has been a 10 out of 10. I mean,
Oh, he's been
world
amazing.
record signing for us, over 100 million, and he's what I expected Pepe to be. When we spent that much money on Pepe, I
Yeah,
expected Pepe to have that same impact for us in the attacking sense, delivering, and unfortunately that wasn't the case. So like Declan Rice has just been a phenomenon, and it's really
yeah,
tough. So like when people ask me who my favorite player is, I honestly can't even tell you. I love them all. Like
yeah.
I
I
love
get
them
you.
all. Like I really do, and it's really, really tough. Like yes, like I say Saka, then I say Saliba, then I'm like, no, well, Declan Rice, no, but Odegaard, but like it's just so hard to choose, and
It's
just
nice though having that because
absolutely, it's a
years
privilege.
ago you would have maybe had one or
One
two.
or two,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
exactly.
now it's like everyone. Yeah,
Oh, I mean, some of my players, just to give you insight, like growing up, Van Persie, Fabregas, Sanchez, obviously, Ozil up there. Like, so it was always one or two, as you said,
yeah.
like in those seasons. And now it's like, yeah, like I can't even choose. I feel like a kid in the candy store,
I
an
know it's
Arsenal
such a
candy
nice
store.
feeling now though.
Absolutely. And that's why when like, people like make fun of me saying like, "Oh, you celebrate second, like you guys didn't win anything and stuff." And I'm like, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? I love my team no matter
You're
what. Like
getting
I'm so
behind your
proud
team,
of them.
exactly.
Like
Yeah.
we're competing against Man City, which is like a behemoth of a team with 115 corruption charges. And okay, even if we put that aside, they're just a great team with great players, with a great coach, with a great culture, with great strategy. They just did everything right. Hey, yeah, they might have paid for it, but like they still had to do it, right? And look, it is what it is. Like, I still am so proud of Arsenal. Like,
Yeah,
I still like, defend my club irrespective. Like, it's always been that way for me now, but I'm just even like it's just easier now, and I'm just more proud now.
yeah,
Going through school, like, and then like having to wear my Arsenal shirt when we got beat 8-2 and 6-1, and like all
yeah.
those sufferings, like it was all worth it.
Yeah, I love that. I know I went through it was tough, but I just wanted to read out a few of these before we round up the show.
Yeah, no
Xhaka
worries.
ends up bringing so much to the side, and I think his fouls and errors were down to not having enough support around him. I think, to be honest with you, he was quite like aggressive. He did a lot of things that wasn't it was on him, you can't take the blame away, and I think he learned over when Arteta came, he learned, not to do that as much and keep more calm. I think as well, like taking the armband off him was probably the best thing
Yeah,
for him because I think sometimes players can be like a captain without being the captain. Like he
agree.
could be a good leader, but not
Like
like it's a lot of
Gabriel is right now.
responsibility. Yeah, Gabriel's a great example.
Yeah. So, my opinion is that he should have never been captain, to be honest. And I feel like so in the past,
Yeah.
at the end of Wenger's and Emery's tenure, we had too many captains. I didn't know, like, what were you doing? Seven? Like, we had like a group of captains, like
Mm,
six captains. I don't like that. I want one captain, one vice captain. Those are the like leaders. Yeah, you could have unspoken captains like the
mm.
Tierneys, the Gabriels, etc. And in the team. But like two main guys, not seven captains. And
Yeah.
captain just because like they kept the house keys. Um, and in terms of aggressiveness with Xhaka, like look, aggressiveness is not bad, but it needs to be used well and smartly, like strategically. When it gets your team in trouble,
Yeah.
not I don't want an aggressive player in that situation. So it's not
Yeah.
always like the best quality. It just depends on how you use it. And I also think that when you're surrounded by mediocre players or average players, you get away with stuff like this because they're also bad. Mustafi, Socrates, all these guys, Chambers, all these guys were all like, you know what I mean? They were all such average players that they
Yeah.
made themselves such bad mistakes that they couldn't get on Xhaka's back for getting a red card or giving away penalties because he could turn around and be like, yeah, but you did, you know what I
They
mean?
were all just as worse as each other.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Whereas now, or like at least in his last season, that was not the culture in the club anymore, right? You would look really bad and you would look
Mm,
stupid if you got a red card or you gave away a penalty. So the standards had raised much higher,
mm.
and I think that also helped him.
Yeah, I think I mean, back then, like, we were just so bad to watch, like,
Oh
defensively
yeah,
as well. Do you know,
one
it's
ball
like
over the top from the goalkeeper, and it was a one-on-one chance, and it was a goal.
it's so, like, crazy because, like, for me, like, I used to watch Sanchez when I was all growing up, and in our attack, we were always good. It was just a defense that wasn't so strong, but now it's really nice to have such a strong defense, like,
Hmm.
even things like I know Haaland scored against us, but Saliba and Gabriel deal with him really well, and it's
Oh
like
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
nice to have that confidence, in your defenders now, in our players in general. And I think I just love this team. Like I just love all of them. Like
So I'll tell you this. So it's so funny because back in the day, like when a team used to break on us, like my heart used to just like go because I
sunk,
knew like,
sank, yes,
we were in
yeah,
trouble. Like we were in trouble. Like this is probably going to end up in a goal or a really good chance for them. And now when I watch Arsenal, like I don't even flinch. Honestly, I'm not
yeah.
like.
It's a nice
No, and I'm
feeling.
not exaggerating or just saying it because I'm like I really don't flinch. Like I'm
Mm,
so confident, and when a team scores, I'm like, you know what I mean? It's probably like a really
yeah,
great goal, like the Justin goal, which is like a goal of the season, or it was a deflection on Kai Havertz, right? So
yeah,
like I don't get so upset these days when we concede. I always know that we're either gonna come back or win a game. We don't lose much. I don't remember, like honestly, I know like it might sound, but like we don't lose much. I rarely feel that pain of losing where before we used to lose all the time. And my parents even at one point were like, just switch teams. And I was like, what? Like I looked at them, I was
yeah. I
like,
know
how
what you
dare you
mean.
like even propose something like that, like and these days it's like, yeah, like at worst we draw, we rarely lose. In 2024 we've rarely lost. So completely
Oh,
different. And that's
it's
a lot
so
of defense.
it's so tough. Like when we used to lose all the time, and like it's like
Oh
when
yeah,
when we won a game finally, it felt amazing. But then now we win so much,
yeah.
but it makes you realize how important the wins are. Like when you lose, you like because we don't lose too much to be honest. But 3-0, I don't want to humiliate Rami. Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of fans that have that love for Ramsdale again, but like we said,
Yeah, no,
we
we
need
should
to
have.
just get the win and think
Yeah, no,
about
look, 3
us.
nil,
Yeah.
4 nil, 5 nil. It won't change anything. You'll still get clapped at the end of the game.
Yeah, our love will
No,
still
like,
be there, and he'll still have
yeah,
that love for us.
exactly. I don't
Yeah.
think we should be that sentimental towards how many goals we score. Like, no, we want to win this game. Like, we're cutthroat. Like, this is that's
Yeah.
our approach. We're Dark Arts FC. We want to win everything at any cost. That's what I love about this team. We, like, even with the really small details about, like, David Rea going, like, to
Yeah.
speak with the goalkeeping coach, like, right before he makes that double save. Like, all these, we weren't doing all these really really small details before, and that's what it takes to win at the highest level when the margins are really small. That doesn't mean that, like, we
Yeah.
should be unethical, because whether it's in business, in sports, in personal life, that's a principle that I don't, like, cross.
Yeah.
But, like, I want to give myself the best edge where I can to win in life. That's always
Yeah.
been my motto, and it's great to see Arsenal doing that.
Yeah. I think with this game, I think the team will know how they've got to win, and I think as fans, I think we'll have that respect for Ramsdale, before and after, but we need to get those 3 points. And whether that is scoring a lot of goals or whether that's just a 1-0, I'll take any win for
No,
Arsenal. But
so I promise you this now. It's not going to be a 1-0. It's going to
no,
be
I don't think it
it's going
will
to be more.
be.
It's
I
going to be
think
more.
it'll
We
be an
take some
exciting
chances.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, 3-0, 3-0 minimum, 3-0 minimum. And if they
Yeah.
score a goal, it's a fluke goal, like, hit us on the counter, like, deflected off Saliba and Gabriel, and then went to their player who just has to, like, shoot it on target or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. Fingers crossed, guys, we'll get that win. But I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no
We'll
problem.
definitely do this again because it's been so much fun. But yeah, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
absolutely. So, again, pleasure to come on, and obviously, like, we could go on for hours, as you
Yeah.
like, so much to talk about. And yeah, I think we should be really positive for
Yeah.
tomorrow and this season in general. Look, someone in the chat asked about Arteta and, like, what happens if he doesn't win the season. It's a really tough question, because I was last year, I said, look, if we don't win anything, like, sorry, maybe he has to go. As much as I love him and I think he's been doing great, like, at
Yeah.
the end of the day, we need to win trophies, but, like, we can't restart, like, you know what I mean, like, we were not going to
Mm.
restart this whole process. It's his team. We're so close. We can taste it. I do think we probably win a trophy this season. I just hope it's not
Yeah.
the FA Cup or League Cup, because, look, if
Yeah. We
we
want to win the
win
league.
those, then,
Yeah.
like, that's not what I want. I want to win the league, and I want us to make semifinals of the Champions League. I think that would be a good season.
Yeah, I think I've said for the Champions League, like the quarterfinals, the semi-finals would be a real improvement. But I think for the league, like you said, I think that's the priority. That's the number one thing that you want to win. But like you said, the trophies this season we've definitely got to win. I hope we do have a good season. But I just wanted to thank you, all of you in the comments as well, for tuning in, watching the show as well. It's been fun to interact with you guys as well. But yeah, guys, before I go, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and yeah, I'll be back very soon. Bye, guys.